Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcoming back to today's program from beautiful Charleston, South Carolina area. Chris, welcome back to the program.
Hey, man, glad to be back. I don't know how beautiful it is today, though. It looks a little wet out there.
Yeah, I think we get the similar weather to y'all because today it's cloudy and raining here in Atlanta. And over the weekend, my parents were in Charleston visiting my sister. Did you clean my sister's trash cans again?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No. Are they still just spotless?
Huh. No, because I thought my mom said someone had cleaned their trash cans again.
I didn't.
Okay, I got to check with her about that. That's what she told me. She's like, hey, I think your friend came by and cleaned the trash cans again.
I was on vacation.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm glad somebody cleaned them then.
Yeah, I don't know who cleaned them. I'll have to ask my mom. Maybe she meant they're still clean from the one time you cleaned them. I don't know. Well, how's everything going over there, man?
It's crazy. Listening to you guys talk about the spring rush, we're in the summer rush. The hot, stinky trash cans, maggots, flies, all that. So, now we're running wide open in the can cleaning business. And, we're just learning a ton about the lawn care business and what you guys do and how you guys do it as far as on the operational side of things. So it's been good, very exciting.
Yeah. And for those of you who maybe didn't catch our previous episode, and I know you've been on my friend Naylor's show as well, and I think you talked to our buddy Jason. So guys are starting to get more familiar with your story, but you actually own a home service-based business called Happy Cans, and you'll go to people's houses the day that their trash is, picked up.
Yep.
And then you'll clean their trash cans so the maggots aren't in there, the odors, the just nastiness of trash, and you'll clean that up.
Exactly. Yeah, so I have this business, Happy Cans. Just a short recap. I had a problem with all these requests coming in and me having to take time to look up their address and see if I would even be able to service them. There wasn't a tool on the market. I couldn't use a zip code filter, so built this tool called My Service Area that allows myself and other users, or allows you to build territories or regions on a map and attach it to your website. And if they're in your territory, because they enter in their address, they get through to your request page or free quote, however you label that. If they're out of territory, it says, hey, sorry, we don't service your address at this time. Please leave us your email and we can follow up with you if things change.
Yeah,
so that's what it does at its core in my 2-minute explanation of it.
Yeah, no, this is high level stuff. So for guys that are just tuning in and hearing your story, you learned to survive in your industry, you have to have high route density. And as you listen to Naylor and myself and others that are championing the message of route density. And what I mean by that, guys, I was just out in Arkansas, Chris. There's a neighborhood that Fayark Lawn Care Company works in, and I
listened to that show.
Yeah, I was telling Eric, because I was like, dude, I'm about to move to Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas. This neighborhood is flat. We have the Appalachian Mountains start, about 25 miles north of me. It can get really mountainy, hilly, but where I live, it's hilly.
Right.
And when I go to Alabama and visit Jeremiah Jennings, those guys, it's hilly. I don't like hills. I mean, I like hills to go on a walk in the park, not to have a business. This neighborhood, Chris, was flat. And they had all these cookie cutter yards. The yards were like identical size. And I said, dude, you could make so much money in this neighborhood. And all you have to do is work in this one neighborhood. So I was joking with Eric. I was like, you got some competition, man. I'm moving to town. You could just you could take on your website and you could select, here's the neighborhood I want to work in, or maybe neighborhoods. And then when someone goes to your website, it can filter through that. And it will show them, oh, you're in our service area, or no, you're not. And I know this is high level stuff because a lot of y'all listening to me don't even have a website. So for those at least who do have a website, you can get even more of a vetting process so that when you have an inquiry, what do they call it? A website visitor?
Right.
Come through, that you're not wasting their time or your time, but you can pretty quickly determine by them typing in their address if they're in your area.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that. So one of the big things that we have learned, the first half of this year is that not only MSA, being valuable for saving you time, it's saving your website visitor time.
Mhm.
It's almost like a customer service tool, because imagine if you're coming to a landscaping site, you fill out this form, you take the time to fill out the form, submit it, and then wait for a phone call or an email, only to find out that that company does not service your address. And now you just wasted 10, 15 minutes or so of your time. And now you got to go back and look for a different service provider. So that's something that we have been hearing a lot from our clients.
Yeah. And there's some folks that I've been in their office and they'll have like an old school map of their county or area. And then they'll take like a marker and highlight the area and, like actually do it manually. But with my service area, can you like actually draw the map? Like, how do you determine what your service area is? Because I think that's a good practice, especially for guys who are just starting out, to identify that, because most people don't even identify that. And then, cousin Pookie calls and says, "Hey, my aunt, needs you to come out." Okay, I'll be there. And then the next thing you know, the neighbor comes out and says, "Hey, can you do mine while you're here?" And you're way outside your service
Yep.
area because you haven't identified it. But if you can identify it, then you can just stick to your boundaries and say, "Hey, sorry, Pook, but we don't go out that far."
Yeah. So what we recommend is somebody, look at the map, understand their current, if they've been in business for a while, understand the neighborhoods and areas that they already service. And so as part of the setup and what we do, and we help you with this, is you create a map, you drop pins and you create a polygon basically on a Google map on the back end of my service area on the map page. You create your region. You can have one region, you can have, as many regions as you want, just depends what level you're on. And you just drop pins, you can shape them, and you can get so finite. We've got a lawn care reputation lawn care, I think, is here in Charleston. He's got 8 or 9 neighborhoods that he services, and that those are his territories, his regions. And so anybody in one of those neighborhoods, they get through. If they're out of those neighborhoods, it say, "Hey, let's leave us your email address. We'll follow up with you." And one cool thing that we've learned, I mean, I've heard about it from you guys, but the hardscaping and softscaping, people are willing to travel further for those jobs because they're big dollar.
Of course.
And so when we were working with Robert was like, I do landscaping too, and I'm willing to travel to the outskirts of Charleston County and some, Johns Island, if you're familiar with this area. I'm willing to travel further. So I'd like those inquiries to come through. We actually built this functionality that he has this landscaping map that overlays on top of everything else. I don't want to get too technical, but if somebody clicks his landscaping button for an inquiry or request to meet, they get more than likely they're going to get through because his area is so big. But anybody outside of that area, again, it would say, "Hey, sorry, we don't service your address. Leave us your email."
Okay. Well, let's do this, Chris. Let's take a quick moment and hear from today's show sponsors. And then coming up, I want to talk about the practical application of how somebody can integrate this, because it's very simple, to their website and create their route area and get that going so that we can get customers that are in the neighborhoods that we want to be working in and not be wasting our time, figuring it out that Sweet Sue lives on the other end of town. And just, so it adds up 3 minutes here, 4 minutes there, and you multiply that over your lifespan. It's like you've wasted days or beyond just vetting customers. So the technology can handle that for you with my service area. So we're going to hear a quick word from today's show sponsors, and coming up, we'll have more with Chris from cloudy, rainy Charleston, South Carolina. Alrighty. So talking with Chris from my service area, and he also has his own business called Happy Cans. And unfortunately, Chris, a lot of guys listening to me right now don't even have websites. I've been really championing this for a while, that we should all have a solid website, but the reality is a lot of guys don't, and they're working on it, and they're getting that together. But for the folks that do have their website that's up and running, how simple is it to get this route density app or whatever? I don't even know what it's called, my service area. How do you get it on your website? Walk us through the technical side of things.
With my service area, it's a line of code. And this is something, this has been a kind of an experiment with us as far as how do we help onboard new customers of my service area. So we decided that adding a setup fee would help facilitate that. When people pay the setup fee, they're serious about their business. They want to get this implemented because we had a free tier and we had to do away with that because we found that people would sign up and they wouldn't take action. Even after, multiple engagements trying to help them, they just wouldn't take action. So, there's always that, you ever heard that saying, you pay attention?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So that's what we changed here in the past probably 45, 60 days, is that when you sign on for a level, you pay a setup fee. And part of that setup fee is helping us get the code. Either we do it for you or we work with your website hosting team or, management team, whatever the case may be, but get a line of code on that website. If you're using WordPress, we've got a plugin for it. Just activate it. Put in some codes and you're good to go. And then we help you map out your regions. We help you with the language. We help you identify where you want MSA to be activated. And what I mean by that is, request a free estimate, request service, lawn care, whatever button you would like for MSA to pop up and say, hey, to be mindful of your time, let's see if we service your address first. And so we do that. And then we do some testing. And once you are satisfied and things are looking good, then we, click the little activate button and refresh everything. And then you're good to go. So then, when somebody comes to your website and they click on, get a free estimate or get a quote, MSA pops up and it starts filtering in those website inquiries for you.
That's fantastic. Do you have any testimonials? I know you mentioned this guy in Charleston that's been using it of how much time it's saving people from not vetting customers and it just to find out that it's not a match.
Not in lawn care yet, because the lawn care guys, we had a ton of sign up of lawn care guys, thanks to your show and Naylor as well. What we found out, and this is what kind of, we had our V8 moment, that commercial with the frying pan over the head is like, hey, these guys will sign up, but they're signing up for the free tier and they're not taking action. And so we need to, we want to work with the people that really want to save time and become more efficient and create more route density. So that's where we said, we've got to get rid of the free tier and do this setup. But to answer your question, sorry, I kind of went off there. We don't have anybody yet as far as quotes with the lawn care because you guys have been so slammed. But, one example I use is one of the guy, Spiffy Ben, that you saw in Atlanta and you texted me his picture, Michael.
Yeah.
In 1 week, this was a while ago. In 1 week, we saved him $136 in refunds for people that had purchased his service that were out of his service area.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, so here's where there's a difference between the can cleaning business and the lawn care business. In the can cleaning business, there are businesses out there that you can buy the service directly from the website. I still filter every one of my requests come through and I have to approve it. But like in the lawn care, you have requests come in and they have to be approved as well. So there wouldn't necessarily be a credit card refund benefit. But just imagine if you're out mowing the grass, mowing yards, and you're getting inquiries either by email or phone call, and you have to look up an address to find out if you even service that address. Well, what if you had MSA implemented and you knew that you got an inquiry and you already knew that that was going to be a profitable client because they're in your territory, like you can service them. So you can go home and say, oh yeah, we service that address, here's the quote, what have you. We can get you on the schedule in 2 weeks or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, that's huge because you can definitely be Johnny on the spot and, okay, this is in my zone. This is my wheelhouse. This is my neighborhood. You call the lady back real quick and say, absolutely, get everything signed, sealed, and delivered and ready to go. So I think it's huge. I wish this was, I wish I would have learned more about route density earlier in my business because I'm Dumbbell Jr. over here was driving all across Atlanta, which I know Charleston, my sister lives in Charleston, South Carolina, guys. Yeah. So I know, honestly, the traffic around your neck of the woods, depending on the day and the beach traffic and things like that, it can get super congested where you are. In Atlanta, it's a headache. I was in Dallas recently. That place I couldn't stand it. Dallas, Fort Worth, and all the construction and cones and slow traffic. And so, that was another reason why I told Eric, I think I'm moving to Fayetteville, Arkansas, man. There was no traffic out there, but even if you don't have traffic, if you can work, if you can work in this one big cookie cutter neighborhood or two or three cookie cutter neighborhoods and just be inside those neighborhoods all day long, that saves on a lot of windshield time. And I'm a huge fan of route density. And this is just like a 1-2 punch of how you can actually make route density a reality, is just by only taking on customers that are in your service area and letting my service area determine that for the customer. And it will save you a ton of time. So
exactly. You guys preach know your numbers, and you've even got courses on it. And this is a huge thing when it comes to know your numbers. I don't know if anybody's done this recently, but because of gas prices, I'm about 80 cents a mile operating cost. And so when I look at that, that's an eye opener. When you start putting dollars to miles, that really is an eye opener to what kind of money that you're spending to service clients and how far you need to travel.
Yeah,
I don't think enough people do that.
Right. Well, this is great, Chris, because I think especially newer guys, at least putting those pins down, making that polygon, or I didn't pay much attention in geometry class, so I don't even know what polygon means, but I'm thinking.
Well, the good thing is when you sign up for my service area, we start off the map for you based on your address. So the square is there. Okay. Then you can just click on the edit button. Then that's when you can start editing it. And when you need to add another region, you click a button. To add a region, give that region a name, like Sandhurst neighborhood, and you draw out that map and go to the next one.
Yeah, well, Eric Hill, if you're listening to me out in Fayetteville, Arkansas, man, that neighborhood I was in, I was filming this guy's work, and I was like, this is gold, man. You just select the perimeter of that neighborhood on the My Service Area app, and then maybe 2 or 3 other neighborhoods in the area, and boom.
Is that the young guy?
He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He grew up on a farm. He took me out to his family farm, so he learned a work ethic. His dad owns an electrician business, so he learned business. He learned work ethic, milking the cows, and he started his business. I'm just like, man, 21 years old, this guy's going to be very successful. But even just looking at his business for a day, they were kind of spread out all over town. I'm just like, dude, this neighborhood right here, like, take some door hangers every day or once a week and just blitz this neighborhood with door hangers, with Facebook ads. Like, I would just work in this neighborhood. I think they had like 20 yards in the neighborhood, but I would have went crazy. I would have had 100 yards in that neighborhood and taking over, man.
I'm probably preaching to the choir to some of you, but I'll tell you a little advertising hack that's worked for me and for other bin cleaners that obviously could work with lawn care. If you find that champion in one of those neighborhoods and have them post on their neighborhood Facebook, or was it Nextdoor app or whatever, once or twice a year, and give them a discount of some sort if they make those posts, man, that is just, anyway, it works in the can cleaning business. It's worked for me multiple times, and I discounted some cleanings. That's it. That's
great. No, that's absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time, Chris, and how convenient you've made this for my listeners. So we'll put the link to My Service Area in today's show notes. And maybe for those of you guys that, Chris is learning, I'm learning, y'all are learning, maybe you went and you got the freebie, free 99 version of My Service Area and just didn't do anything with it, because that's, what we do when we get free things. Go back in and sign up and do the onboarding and get it connected to your website and make your map, and just pull the Band-Aid off quick kind of guy, Chris. So just go through the process, get it on your website the right way, and let's get this thing going. And, I know you've been on Naylor's show, and he's been championing this message. Have you talked to the folks out there in Columbia, Alex Kirby and Chris Hollis and those guys?
I would love to speak with them.
Yeah, their Instagram's Trifecta Landscaping. Just shoot them a DM and tell them you're my friend, because I think they build websites all day long.
Yeah.
So if they knew that, I don't even know if they know this is out there, but they could make this, just automatically put it into all the new websites they're making. I think that'd be huge. I know they use Nice Job, and they learned about Nice Job from my show. So,
and they're just right up the road too.
Well, yeah, Columbia. They live on Lake Murray, maybe.
Yeah.
Or is that a lake out there?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. There's a couple around there, but yeah, Lake Murray's one of them.
Okay, I think the Lake Murray. I've been there. I stayed at Alex's parents' lake house Irma or Irmo. Anyway, it's right outside of Columbia, South Carolina. So those guys, I would definitely reach out to them. I know you've hung out with Jason Creole, I think too, and Naylor. I would connect with them. So
Yeah, Jason used it MSA for a while.
okay,
And then every new customer is a learning experience for us, right? So
yeah,
Jason used it for a while and he stopped. He probably used it for about 30 days or so.
hmm
And he stopped using it. And then I said, "Hey, Jason, why'd you stop using it?" And he said, "Well, I'm not bothered by that many inquiries that are outside of my area." And so there's plenty of Jasons out there that MSA is not a fit for them. They don't mind answering the phone calls or responding to the emails, which is totally fine. I mean, Jason is extremely successful in the way that he runs his businesses. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out though.
Yeah, totally. I've been to Jason's business multiple times. He's just a little one guy in a truck, small town boy. But for Eric Hill out there in Fayetteville, he has 10 employees. This is a game changer. So I appreciate you. In the back of my mind, I always kind of thought there's got to be a way to do this. And then I appreciate you reaching out to me because I was like, oh, there's a way to do this, So someone else took my bright idea and actually executed on it. So
well, I appreciate how responsive you guys have been and how helpful you have been with helping me just introduce my service area to the lawn care world. A lot of those people earlier in the year that reached out said, "I heard you on Paul's show, I heard you on Naylor's show, and want to find out more," and that's fantastic. So I appreciate
yeah, it's great. Well, Naylor and I, before we ever had a social media following and podcasts, Naylor and I were actually just friends on Snapchat. This was way back in the day. And we'd message each other back and forth talking about route density and one-on-one. There was no other people listening to us talk about it, but we figured out early on that if we can just work in a neighborhood 2 or 3, and no more, just stay within the gates of those neighborhoods or the roads of those neighborhoods, it's going to make us a ton more money than windshield time of driving around town. And so we figured that out a good 8-9 years ago, but now the vetting process is a lot more smoother with my service area and being able to do the vetting for us. It makes it even more simple. So it's great that so many guys are listening to our show, Chris, that are in year 1, 2, or 3. They're just starting out and they don't have to be on the other side of town like we all were starting out and figuring out the hard way. They can start with a boundary and stick to that area. So
and I'll share this because I'm getting ready to redo one of my areas. Happy Cans has been around for 6-7 years. I'm going into year 3 of ownership of it, and I'm still modifying my service area. And I'm getting ready to go smaller.
Oh yeah.
You're familiar with John's Island. I'm getting ready to cut that off. It's too much windshield time and with traffic and everything else. So my point of me sharing that is whether you're starting out or you've been in business 10 years and you start off with, my service area, you can modify your regions as you see fit. And an added bonus is that my service area collects all those addresses for you. And so you can see them on a map. You can see all your requests in territory and out of territory. So let's say you collect all these out of territory, requests this year. Well, at the end of the year, you can take a look and go, you know what? We may need to move over just a little bit because we had 10 inquiries that we didn't service in a 2-mile radius. There is definitely some added value that is captured on the back end of MSA for customers so they can, at the end of the year when they need to reevaluate and see what they're going to do, there's some data there to review and help make smart decisions.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, Chris. My schedule is popping today, man.
All right.
I have a podcast batching day where I just stack them all up and bang them all out.
After
I got to roll on. But thanks again for your time. Guys, go to the show notes and get my service area connected to your website and be like Naylor and crush that route density.
And follow me on Instagram, my service area.
What's your handle?
My service area.
Okay, Marty, put that in the show notes too.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Paul.
I gotta go, but thank you for your time, Chris. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.